Welcome back to day 4. Our goal for today, given a parabola or a table of values, you will be able to use the quadratic regression button to find its equation. Our secondary goal for today, given a system of equations, you will be able to solve graphically and by using your calculator. So both of our goals today are going to use your calculator, so make sure that you have that handy. All right, so let's take a look at our first goal. Okay, so we're going to take a look at writing the equation of a quadratic function. Okay, step 1, whenever we do this, we need to find points on the quadratic function. Then we're going to do stat, edit, and we have to fill in our table of values. And then step 3, we go stat, calculate. Now in the past we've done 4, which was linear regression. Now we're going to do quadratic regression and then enter. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So number 1, given the figure to the right, write the equation that represents this graph. So the first thing we have to do is come up with points on this graph. So let's go ahead, we're going to do x and y. And now I have to pick at least 3 points, and we need to have them on both the right and the left of the turning point. So if I take a look here, I have a perfect point right here, here, and here. So those are right on the grid line. So I'm going to go ahead and use those 3 points. So -3, I'm sorry, ooh, that's incorrect. This would be the point 0, -3. This would be the point over 2 up 1, so 2, 1. And this down here would be the point 4, -3. Now, I want to find the equation of this quadratic. So we're going to let the calculator do the work for us. So the first thing we have to do is stat, edit. So stat, edit is going to be 1. And now we're going to put our x's in L1 and our y's in L2. So my x's, 0, enter, 2, enter, 4, enter. I go over now and -3, enter, 1, enter, oops, 1, enter, and then -3, enter. Now, to find the equation, we're going to hit stat, go over to calculate, so we have to use our over arrow, and now we're going to go down to 5, or you can just hit the 5 button. Okay, and now we have to go down to the word calculate and hit enter. And there we have it. It gives us our A value, our B value, and our C value. So we're going to plug that into the quadratic equation. So y equals, instead of the A, we're going to put -1x squared plus B, which is 4x, and then our C is -3. And ladies and gentlemen, you have just found the equation of this parabola. All right, let's go ahead and try number 2. Write the equation that represents the graph. Okay, so let's take a look here. So the first thing we have to do is find 3 perfect points. So I'm finding this one, and this one. So now I have to go ahead and write that as a table of values. So my points are going to be 1, 0, 3, -4, and 5, 0. So now I'm going to have you go ahead, pause the video. I'd like you to do the quadratic regression on your own. All right, let's go ahead and see what you were able to come up with. So were you able to get y equals x squared minus 6x plus 5? All right, you did it correct. All right, let's take a look at number 3. For number 3, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cross out this grid. Instead, I am going to actually have you start with the table of values. So let's go ahead, we're going to start with this table of values right here. Okay. So now, if you start with this table of values, the first thing you have to do, because we don't have a picture, we don't know for a fact that this is quadratic, we need to decide, is this a line or is this a parabola? Okay, so to determine if it's a line or a parabola, you have to look at your x's and your y's to see if you increase at a constant rate. So let's take a look at our x's. We go up by 1, up by 1, up by 1, up by 1, up by 1. Now let's look at our y's. Here, we're going up by 3. We're going up by 1. Oh, we're going down by 1. We're going down by 3. We're going down by 5. So let's think. What shape goes down and then up for our rate of change? It's definitely not a line. So this is going to be, yet again, a parabola. So what I'd like you to do right now is once again pause the video. I'd like you to plug this into your calculator and come up with the equation and type it in. All right, let's see. Were you able to get y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 5? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our first goal of today, which is learning how to do a quadratic regression, very similar to a linear regression. Okay, up next, goal number 2. Now we're going to solve systems of equations graphically and in the calculator. So let's go ahead and flip to the back. Okay, now we've solved systems before, but they've always been 2 lines. So now, instead of 2 lines, we're going to have a line and a parabola, or a quadratic and a linear function. So let's take a look. So step number 1, graph and label the line. Step number 2, graph and label the parabola. Circle and write the coordinates of the intersection. If the intersection is not exact, use the calculator to find the intersection. Okay, and then we have to repeat if there's more than one answer. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So f of x equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. G of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. So first I decide which is the line, which is the parabola. Well, this one here is going to be my line. Okay, I know it's a line because my x is to the first power. This one here is going to be my parabola because my x here is being squared. So that's going to be my parabola. So let's go ahead and let's practice graphing our line. So here is my y-axis and my x-axis. So the first thing we're going to do with our line is we're going to start at positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I have to use a slope of negative 1 and to the right 3. Down 1 to the right 3. Down 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3. All right, and I'm going to go both directions here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take out my ruler, and I'm going to connect my lines, or connect my points to make a line. And this is the line y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. Okay, now we have to graph the parabola. So graphing the parabola takes a little bit of work. So step number 1, we have to figure out our a, our b, and our c. So if I look here, my a value is 1, my b value is 2, my c value is negative 5. Then we have to use these values to find the middle of your parabola. So we have to find the axes of symmetry. So x equals negative b all over 2 times a. So I'd like you to go ahead now, plug in your values, and find the axes of symmetry. All right, let's see, were you able to get x equals negative 1? All right, now the whole reason we find this axis of symmetry is because that's the middle of our parabola, which means it's also going to be the middle of our table of values. So I'm going to take that negative 1 and I'm going to put it right here in the middle. So this is my turning point or my vertex. Now I have to go at least 3 values above and 3 values below. So smaller than negative 1 is negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so to find these values, I'm going to go to the calculator, go to my y equals, plug in the equation, and go to our table of values. And then we can get all of our points. So here we have 3, negative 2, negative 5, nope, and I put an extra point at the bottom, which is okay. So 3 would be 10. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and plot these points. So negative 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. 1, 2, 3. Negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to go back up the other side. Okay, so now remember, when we graph our parabolas, we go down, we follow it, and we are always going to continue our parabola up and out. So upwards and outwards, all the way to the top of our graph. So we get y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. Now, how many solutions? Here, it told us to solve, so let's take a look. How many solutions do we have? 1, 2. But if I look carefully, those are not perfect points. They do not have integer solutions, which means we're going to let the calculator help us out. And at the end, we're going to round our answers to the nearest tenth because that's what it tells us to do. All right, so here we go. We have to go back to our y equals. My parabola is already there, so now I'm going to go down and I'm going to type in the equation of the line. So negative 1 divided by 3x plus 4. I'm going to hit graph just to make sure. Okay, so my parabola, my line. Now, my window is a little bit off, so I'm going to hit my window button. And then, oops, actually, I'm going to go to zoom. I'm going to hit my zoom button. And I'm going to go down to a standard window, which is 6. And that looks just like the graph that we drew. So now we need to calculate those intersections. So calculate is above the trace button, so I'm going to hit second, trace. Okay, I need the intersection, which is 5. Now I'm going to take my blinking dot all the way over to one of the points. Okay, and then I'm going to follow the directions, but since I'm right there, I'm just going to hit enter until it says the word intersect. And there we go, intersection. So this first point is the point negative 4.4, comma, and then for my y, it's going to be 5.5. Okay, now to get to the second point, you have to do everything all. You can't just move it down because I'm no longer on my graph anymore. So now I have to hit second, calculate, go down to 5, intersection. Now I'm going to move it all the way over to the second intersection. I'm going to hit enter 3 times, and what I'd like you to do is find this one on your own. All right, let's take a look. Were you able to get 2.1 and 3.3? If you did, very nice job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. If you had any trouble with today's lesson, please make sure you come in tomorrow morning before school so I can help you out with the calculator work. All right, have a great night, everyone.